Welcome to Coffee with Congress, a new podcast by the Veterans Education Project, where we truly get to know members of Congress and key government officials. Every episode, we ask questions that have absolutely nothing to do with politics, policy, or legislation.
Yeah, nothing to do with their actual jobs. So instead, we focus on getting to know the real person behind the office. Today, we had a chance to hang out with Congressman Mark Green from Tennessee's 7th District. He served as a major in the Army, and he's an all-around badass.
Listen in now as we speak with him in his D.C. office.
So, Congressman, you represent Tennessee over there, and we got so much great food comes out of Tennessee. Tons of amazing food. So, my first question is: if there was if you were to compete in an eating contest of some sort, what's the food that you're like, this is the one I know I could compete in? I could put down so many of this.
Oh wow. I guess in a way you're kind of asking me what my favorite food from Tennessee is.
I'm asking you what's the food you could eat the most of.
They could be different.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe sushi. I love sushi.
Yeah.
I love...
Now, sushi's not really
that would be an intense sushi, eating kind of raw fish. As much raw fish you could eat would be pretty intense.
I love barbecue. I love fried catfish.
Fried catfish.
I love fried okra.
Okay.
That's a real Tennessee thing too. And the best okra in my district is probably the Catfish House in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Where?
In Clarksville.
I'm taking notes. I just don't know exactly.
Great catfish.
Yeah.
There's lots of places with great catfish, but nobody makes fried okra like the Catfish House in Clarksville.
Okay.
The Catfish House. All right, we got it. When we go to Tennessee.
Yeah, you got to check that place out.
All right. So there are some people in Tennessee, some famous people that have some beliefs that I want to know if you share them. Congressman, do you believe that aliens exist? Are you in Elvis?
God. No, I really don't. I don't think we have any evidence, and I've never been to Area 51, so maybe
we were hoping that with your militay background,
I
you had been there before.
I did my company did run the emergency department in Roswell, New Mexico.
Whoa.
Okay.
Before I left
No
rumors?
No crash landings?
There are lots of pictures of them all over town. So maybe, I don't know.
All right. Now you got Nashville, tons of talented people there.
Yeah.
If there was a talent show, if there was a Congress talent show, what talent you bringing on stage?
Yeah.
Okay. I would probably either play saxophone. I play tenor saxophone.
Oh. Okay.
Or, I guess, orator. I'm decent at that. I'm a decent orator.
So on saxophone, what's the favorite song you like to play on saxophone?
Sir Duke.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to have to get a little clip of that on the podcast.
On who did Sir Duke. It was Stevie Wonder.
Right.
Speaking of music, we hear you're a Kanye fan. Tell us a little about that.
I like all kinds of music, right? I do like some music that folks might not expect me to like. I listen to... I'm mostly a metal guy.
Okay.
So I
like Pantera or
Disturbed.
Disturbed. I like it.
Yeah, they're both their lyrics and just the way they synchronize, the thrash of metal into the lyrics is just the best. I think
some more metal. I like it.
They're Metallica. Metallica is the greatest metal band. Rock band of all time, I think.
Right.
U2 is probably the greatest band of all time.
Heard it here first, folks.
Right? So U2 is probably the best band of all time.
Okay.
This is awesome. You love music.
I do. I was a disc jockey in high school, in college. So.
You were a disc jockey. Yeah. That's awesome.
On what radio station?
So I started out at WMLC in Monticello, Mississippi, and then I went to, I think it was JMB. It was over in Brookhaven. It was an AM station. Pretty large AM station, though. And then at West Point, I went FM because the cadet radio station is FM.
Right.
It's WKDT.
Nice.
Cadet.
Have you and Condoleezza Rice talked about your guys' shared love of metal?
Condoleezza Rice likes metal.
Loves metal.
Really? Okay. Yeah. That's because I can't play the piano.
Right.
And apparently she's a classic pianist.
Condi up. She'll get you right. You guys get a band going.
You guys could go to a Metallica concert together.
I would love to go. And actually, I've been looking this year for, because it's sort of like one of my regrets in life is I never saw Michael Jordan play in person.
I regret never seeing him play.
And I didn't let that happen with Peyton Manning, right? I said, I've got to see Peyton Manning.
Okay.
Obligatory Peyton Manning reference from Tennessee.
Right, of course he is. Exactly. And so, I want to see them play. I missed AC/DC. I never got to see those guys. I want to see Metallica. I'd like to see Disturbed, but Disturbed, I don't know if I could dress appropriately for the concert.
I think you should show up just like how you are.
I think you should just show up as you
show up in a suit and it's like, let them.
Now that would be really wild.
I'd love that.
That would be radical at a Disturbed concert.
Yeah, for sure. It would be the most counterculture
like, this dude's out of control.
Yeah. That's right. Love it. I love it. All right, so Tennessee is the birthplace of putt-putt mini golf.
Oh, is
it? I didn't even know.
Oh, I'm so proud.
Yeah, there you go. So, they are the birthplace of things that changed beach towns and awkward teenage dates forever. So my question is putt-putt the best golf?
As far as I'm concerned, absolutely.
Yes, right. So who would win? These Tennessee natives, Kenny Chesney or Justin Timberlake in a putt-putt mini golf tournament?
Ooh.
I think Timberlake would because
I think JT as well
because and I like Kenny Chesney too. Met him a couple times. He's a great performer. But Timberlake, they built a golf course. I think he's involved in a golf course in Memphis, near Memphis.
Is he really?
Yeah, I think he is. I went and did a speech at a golf course. And somebody said something about, he's got an affiliation with it, so I'll give it to JT.
Okay, JT, when you listen to this, Congressman Green wants to play putt-putt golf with you.
Yeah, I'm sure my wife would really like that too. He's incredibly talented.
He is.
That guy, when you watch him and Jimmy Fallon, when they do a routine or gig together.
Oh, it's great.
Both of those guys are incredibly talented.
All right. So now I'm going to ask, kind of transition a little bit. We're going to start to kind of get into some more questions about who you are and stuff. So we'll start with some easier ones. So when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be in the Army.
You did?
Yep.
Okay. That is awesome. We're going to come back to that in a minute. All right. So what advice would you give right now to your 20-year-old self, and why?
I guess I would say take notes.
Take notes. Explain that.
Because there's lots of lessons that you learn in life, and you never really ever want to learn a lesson twice.
Okay.
So I didn't start really journaling until the end of my 30s.
Okay, tell us about that.
And now I journal, right? So when I have a devotional or something like that, a quiet time in the morning, I will journal my thoughts about it. But there's reflection, and so if there's a life lesson or something, and one of the things I've now done is I've compiled them. So as I start a new journal, notebook, I'll take, the lessons that I've learned over the course of my life, and I rewrite them at the beginning of the journal.
Okay.
And then I add to it as I'm adding in that journal. I'll go back and say, man, this is profound. So I'll go back and write, well, this is a life lesson to remember.
That's really, really cool.
So you just wish you'd started that earlier.
Wish I had started that earlier.
Okay. All
right. So if you could eat anything on the moon, what would you eat?
Eat anything on the moon?
On the moon. What's the best moon food?
Man, I don't know. Cheese.
It's a moon pie.
It's a moon pie.
Come on, that's your guys'
thing. The moon is made of cheese, right?
So what's better, a moon pie or a goo goo cluster?
It depends on your mood.
I don't even know what a goo goo cluster is.
You've never had a goo goo cluster?
No, am I missing out?
The original ones are the best too. They've got multiple flavors now. It's a peanut chocolate, candy made in Tennessee. It's really, really good.
You should have those in your office.
Yeah, right now we've got M&Ms and Sundrop. Right.
Okay.
So Sundrop's in my district, and of course M&Ms are statewide. The company has a pet store or its pet division in my district.
Okay.
And then M&Ms are made in Cleveland, Tennessee, I believe. and then there's a Mars plant or something near Memphis. So,
All right.
So which one you got to choose? Which one, moon pie or Goo Goo cluster?
if I had to choose personally, I'd probably pick the Goo Goo cluster.
All right.
Okay. All right. So on that note, total transition. If you could put one quote on a billboard in Times Square for the world to see, what would it say and why?
It would probably be, John 3:16.
Okay.
For God so loved the world that He gave His only Son, that those who believe in Him can have eternal life. That would probably be it. Now, if you're looking for something non-religious,
We're not looking for anything.
No, we're not looking for anything. That's all. That's great. That's who you are. That's great. We love that. All right. So I'm going to say a word, and I want you to say the first person that comes to your mind, and then explain why. Successful.
John Maxwell. I don't know why that name came to mind. You asked me to say it, but John Maxwell's a guy that I read a lot of his stuff, and I think his impact and ability to influence people throughout the world is just profound.
Okay.
He's got a not-for-profit that is teaching leadership to people in foreign countries and in foreign governments, and he's influencing the world in a massive way. Equip Ministries. So I think probably John Maxwell, maybe Billy Graham.
Okay. Very cool.
So.
Very cool.
Keep rolling.
All right. Yeah. So, what do your close friends call you, or your wife, or your mother? Is there a nickname that you have? That
I've had various nicknames over the course of my life, but now, no, I don't really have a nickname other than Doc.
Doc.
Some close friends, like my military buddies, they still call me, "Hey, Doc Green, what's up?" So Doc is probably the only nickname I would say I have right now.
All right.
I heard.
Well, well, Doc, tell me about a time in your life where you failed, and what life lesson did you learn from that failure?
I'm trying to think of a good example to use.
No
there
rush.
have been a couple of those. I think the Secretary of the Army thing.
Okay.
That I don't know that I failed, but it didn't work out, and there were a lot of lessons learned there. One, trust that God has got it, and He's got you, and He's going to put you where you need to be or where He wants you. But also I learned a little bit about, communicating, the way we communicate, to make sure that it's not misperceived, And now the media really misquoted me on some things that they said I said, right? Really it was egregious.
Right.
Like the stuff on a couple of bills in Tennessee that they said I said this, when you can look in the transcript and see that I said something totally different. That really bothered me. But I can go back and see where people might perceive judgment out of some of the stuff that I've said, and I don't ever want to judge people. Leave that to God. I want to love people. And so I want to do, and I've tried since that time to be better communicating love even to people that I disagree with.
Right.
And maybe not necessarily that I agree, right? We're going to just disagree, but I don't want another person to see like I'm judging them for the position they've taken.
And I think that's really hard, even in this forum, it's very easy to misrepresent a quote out of context, and that is really, really hard to deal with. So I think that our listeners will really appreciate that life lesson and that struggle that you've walked through.
Definitely. So, change gears a little bit. So you guys have a Parthenon. You guys have an Eiffel Tower. What's next? What's the next blatant European ripoff that Tennessee's going to build? What do you think? What do you think they should build next?
I think we need a Tower of Pisa.
Oh, there we go. I like that. A Tower of Pisa?
We need a Tower of Pisa.
Which city should it be in? Is there an Italian named city?
Yeah, that's a good. No, everything's Villes in Tennessee.
Okay.
Clarksville, Nashville.
There's no
Shelbyville.
Naperville in Tennessee. There's no like Naperville or Sicilyville.
No, not that I'm aware of.
But Leaning Tower Pisa.
Leaning Tower Pisa would be.
You guys, maybe you should make yours not leaning, and you'd be like, "This is how it's done." Italians, this is how we do it. all right, I like that. All right, so. This one's a little bit of a journey, so you guys roll with me on this one. So let's start. Do you like dry or wet?
What do you mean?
Ribs.
Ribs, wet.
Okay, all right. Hot chicken or barbecue?
Barbecue.
All right, so let's say your friend gets into a bad car. This is also ripped from the headlines. This is actually a true thing that happens. So just roll with me on this. A good friend of yours gets into a motorcycle accident. The guy amputated his leg.
Oh no.
He says, "Hey doc, let me get the meat from my calf." He gets his meat smoked, aged, and barbecued up, ready, and invites his friends over to eat his calf. You gonna partake?
That's weird. No.
No. What about your own leg?
No, that's bizarre. this is in the news?
It actually happened. So he had some. They made him the tacos, and his friends tried it out, and they said it was pretty good.
Bizarre.
That is bizarre.
Yeah, we're so far at the tip of Maslow's hierarchy. I mean, you got oh my goodness. Well, I'm not, judging.
No judgment. No judgment. All right,
if you wouldn't partake, that's fine.
So rolling into some humor still, but also I think a lot of people want to hear this story. All right. So I believe there was a time in your life where you stole a battery out of a car.
Yeah, I did. That was combat, right?
Yeah,
you got a mission to do.
Let's tell the story. So I'm a SF guy. I've been in group for a while, and I think your story on that airfield is something that's really interesting. Would you mind telling it?
No, not at all. We go in, and we didn't know if the guy had WMD. Remember, we were concerned.
And everyone, he's talking about going into Iraq.
Going into Baghdad,
yeah.
Right? And there was a big concern about whether or not he had weapons of mass destruction, maybe even nuclear. So we're in MOP 4. I'm with I'm with the Tier 1 Navy, counterterrorism unit. And it's my, the Night Stalkers and myself, and I'm going to ground on this mission. It'd be rare that the doc goes to ground, but we were basically moving into Baghdad.
Right.
So my mission was to go to ground, and I had a medic with me. We roll off the helicopters. Mortar rounds are actually landing right in the middle of the runway as we're
like a hot LZ.
Yeah, it was kind of not small arms,
okay.
but there were random mortar rounds landing in between the two airstrips on the military side of the Baghdad airport. For those people who will have done time there, they'll understand what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So we come running into that big hangar that's there, and of course, as soon as we come busting in, and everybody and since y'all are all, this is the enlisted National Guard, everybody knows what MOP 4 is like.
Yeah.
You're running, and the fog up the lens, and so now you got a circle of half an inch diameter, and exactly
all over you,
and you're running, and I can barely see, and I come running into this hangar, and the SEAL commander goes, bleep this. All clear. I don't know that anybody tested, and I thought to myself, I got an antidote. I'm getting out of this, and so we all shucked off our gear, our MOP 4, and then we just take a break, that lull in the battle, so to speak, and I'm like, I got to get a vehicle, in case guys get wounded, and so I talked to the SEAL commander, and like, okay, I'm going to go find a vehicle, and I walk, and boom, there's this truck. And I rip open the steering column. It was a Nissan pickup truck, and I take out my Leatherman and I start hot wiring the truck. And it's like a circle if you've ever hot wired a truck, and you probably have because it's a skill set, right? Yeah. So you make the arc, and it starts right as I make the arc and it starts to crank. This guy comes running up and grabs me, and he's got a full beard. And he spins me around, and he's like, "Hey, man, this is I thought I was going to get killed, but he told me that he worked for our government and that he'd already stolen that truck, and there was like another one right beside it. Said these are mine." And I'm like, "Okay, fine." And he goes, "Down at the end of the runway, there's a Maxima, and it has the keys in the ignition. You don't have to hotwire it." And I'm like, "Oh, well, cool." So I run down there. It's not going to be perfect. But if we had a guy, throw him in the back seat and haul butt to a fast team, right? Ford area surgical team. So we get it. I see it. I hop in, plastic on the seats, brand new car, hit the keys, nothing happens. Lift the hood, somebody had stolen the battery. So I go walking back, thinking, man, what am I going to do? I got to get a vehicle. And there's that guy's truck. And there's no agency guy anywhere, so I'm like, well, screw this. I'll just take his battery. And I did. I stole his battery, and it fit perfectly into the car. And I drove it in, and this commander's like, holy cow, man, this is awesome. So I sit in that thing right outside that massive hangar.
Air conditioning on?
Huh? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're listening, air conditioning's on, we're listening to Iraqi radio,
Right, of course,
in Arabic, and it's like, and spent that first night in Baghdad like that, and we kept the car for several days, and then I traded it actually for one of those trucks with a buddy from the 82nd back. He was a lieutenant in the battalion when I was a company commander.
Nice.
So I bump into this guy. I hadn't seen him since I was in the 82nd. I'm like, man, I really need a truck, and he's like, well, I'll take that car, and we're like, cool. So anyway, that's part of the story I don't normally tell, but we're there, and so months later, I bump into the agency guy in the post exchange, and he's like, man, did you take my battery? And I'm like, yeah, I did. I took your battery. And he's like, no worries. I had taken that battery out of the Nissan Maxima I sent you down to go. I'm like, oh, well, great, man, thanks.
That is hilarious.
That's a great story.
That is great. I love that. I almost think about
I want to find that guy someday.
I think you guys all relate this. How by the end of boot camp, none of our covers were what we were originally issued. Like your cover is basically whatever you see there, and you just take that. I feel like that's what was happening with this battery. It just kind of kept getting swapped around.
I don't know how many vehicles it wound up being in. It certainly got me by.
So we're winding down here, but I got a tough Tennessee question for you. You going whiskey or moonshine?
Oh, I'm a whiskey guy.
Whiskey,
absolutely.
Okay.
And I like Tennessee whiskey,
right?
But I also like bourbon.
Do you have a favorite?
And I like Scotch.
Yeah.
My favorite Scotch is Macallan.
Okay.
My favorite bourbon, boy, that's tough. Probably Pritchard's, made in Tennessee.
Pritchard's.
He makes a double barrel bourbon that's just phenomenal. And he actually has a distillery at the Fontanelle, which is not very far from my house.
So why is it bourbon that's made in Tennessee? Is it because it's aged in Kentucky?
So NAFTA, the original NAFTA, defined all of those things.
Right.
What is a Kentucky bourbon? What is a Kentucky straight bourbon? And Tennessee whiskey was defined in the Tennessee legislature. It wasn't defined in NAFTA.
Right.
And the difference is it has to be, and it's pretty constraining. I don't like that about the definition.
Don't feel like Jack Daniels is like, we're going to be the only one.
Well, I don't want to say that. Jack Daniels is a great company, and they're a great brand, and I understand they're trying to protect their brand.
Sure.
But you can't be innovative. It's got to be their way, basically. You got to make it their way. But the charcoal filtering, of course, is the real signature piece of Tennessee whiskey.
Gotcha. All right.
And that's great too. I love Tennessee whiskey, but I really love that Pritchard's double barrel bourbon.
Right.
And my wife was a Blanton's gal for a long time.
All right.
And I think I finally got her. She tasted some of has tasted some of that Pritchard's, and she really likes it. Blanton's is hard to find, and so is Pritchard's. The local store knows that I like it, and they'll, when they get some, they'll set some aside for me. But whiskey, I'm not a moonshine guy.
All right.
Fair enough.
Don't drink something just because it burns.
Fair enough.
Well, we're going to close out here. This next series is going to be like a rapid fire. Like I'm just going to ask a question.
Okay.
And you can get 2 passes. So if you don't know, or it's like you can pass.
Okay.
And then we're gonna give you a minute or 2, or however long you want, to just kind of talk about whatever you want, whatever you think people would want to know. So, all right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. What animal do you most resonate with?
Oh, the dog.
Okay.
Labrador Retriever mixed with a German Shepherd.
All right.
Wolverine and Incredible Hawk get in a fight. Who wins?
Wolverine.
That's correct. Keep
What?
moving.
What'd you eat for breakfast?
Raisin and some kind of bran cereal.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. And then you're doing great. What gift of less than $100 are you most happy about?
Anything from my kids.
there you go. All right. And last but not least, what book have you given the most as a gift?
The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
All right.
By John Maxwell.
Yep.
There you go. All right. Well,
you made it. You got to the end. So now you've earned the reward of having a platform. You say whatever you want. Talk about whatever you like, and the floor is yours.
Well, I just appreciate what you guys do. As enlisted guardsmen, you're the backbone of the Guard, and the Guard is really historically been the fighting force of America, right? I mean, our militia.
Citizen soldier.
Right, the citizen soldier. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody who will be listening to this for their service to the nation and to their states. The great thing about the Guard is you really have that dual duty to serve not only a U.S. Constitution, but the people of a state of, in our case, in my case, the state of Tennessee. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that. And I think it's important to note really what we take an oath to. And it's not even to the country. If you think about your oath as an enlisted person or as a soldier, sailor, airman, Marines, it is to the Constitution of the United States. Mm-hmm. It is to the idea of America that we are sworn to protect. And I think that's really cool. And so I just appreciate you guys, and I'm honored to be interviewed, and so there you go.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely, this is phenomenal.
We look forward to doing this again.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thanks for listening to Coffee with Congress. Man, that was really fun hanging out with Congressman Green. Learn all about his love of Stevie Wonder and his proclivity to stealing car batteries. Subscribe to our podcast anywhere you get your podcast. We are everywhere. Leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Remember, the Veterans Education Project is always preaching possibilities.